Morning everybody, it's Josie and welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. It's really quiet this morning. I can hear cars off in the distance and maybe a boat or two out on the river, but no trains yet, but don't be surprised on this video if we hear a train. The farm is waking up this morning. It's quiet, the fog has lifted, and the chickens are all out busy doing their things, and Foxy and Sadie's out here with me, and we've encountered a toad, or a couple of toads, frogs, whatever. Toads, frogs, they're all the same to me. I know they're different, but to me, frogs. And I'm always watching, you know, because of the snakes, and when something catches out of the corner of your eye, something jumps, you know, the instinct you have is, you know, snake. But I looked down and there was a couple of frogs, and so I survived that, and I'm enjoying the quiet of the morning out here. I do some of my best thinking, and Howie did too, in the garden. This is week number 3 of our garden tours, the first week of June, and I've got a lot to do today. I thought that I would kind of show you some of our changes that we've had. Not very many yet because everything's just getting started, but it is growing on. We've had our second day of, I'm sorry guys, Sadie just hit my camera. We're having our she's like a toddler. We're having our second day of sunshine in 4 weeks of consistent sunshine. We didn't have any rain yesterday, and now today we're looking like we're going to have the same kind of weather. So, but I have a lot to do. I've got some fence I've got to try to get fixed between the barnyard and my barnyard and my backyard backs right up against each other, and the ducks and the little bitty chickens has been getting in the backyard, and Foxy and Sadie kill them. And I don't know how many little chickens I've lost. I've lost 3 ducks. And so it's becoming an issue that I'm going to have to do something serious. And the first thing I'm going to try is to get my, put chicken wire along the bottom of the fence that separates the two out. And I don't want to have to take extreme measures with the pups. I don't like to do that. But, you know, they may be in for some more training, because Foxy, when it was just Foxy, it seemed like he would run through them and make them fly up in the air, and he was happy with that he made them fly. But now that I've put 2 of them together, they have just really, they're becoming a nuisance. And I love my dogs. I don't want to get rid of my dogs. They have a purpose here. You know, there's Foxy's a cow dog, and Sadie's a cow dog in training. I don't want to get rid of them, and especially since Foxy was Howie's dog. But I think that we're gonna have to have some training, and probably this dog mama Heart doesn't want to do it, so it might be that Papa Tex and Blade has to take care of that part of it, and you know, we'll just have to do what we have to do. But anyway, past that, we've had some changes. There's a lot of weeding to do. There's a lot of replanting on some things. The squash did come up. The cucumbers have came up, but they're looking good, but they're still patchy. So I'm going to try to get some in the spots the cucumbers planted today. And then also I got my blackberries planted, and going to get have my okra seeds soaking, and so it'll be able to go in the ground today. Probably beans, some other things like that. I have some melons that I probably need to plant, pumpkins and watermelons and cantaloupes. But I'm not really sure. I'm thinking that I will probably put them where the corn is right now, and maybe down those 2 wide aisles that I was laughing about having the big wide spaces. I may put the pumpkins and the cantaloupes in there. But anyway, guys, I've jabbered on long enough. I just wanted to come out here and do a farm tour this morning. I have to go later today Granny's got to go. She's a Cherokee, and today's Cherokee elections here, and so she's got to go and vote. And then I have to go sing at a funeral. We lost a lady in our church, and so I have to go sing at her funeral. So I got to do my farm tour this morning. It's really nice and quiet and peaceful out here, but I still smell a skunk, and so I'm keeping my eyes. If you see me turning my head, it's because I'm on guard. I don't want to get sprayed by a skunk, and I don't think I can outrun a skunk, and so so I'm trying to keep an eye out for that. But it's a beautiful morning. I'm blessed to be alive, and I need to get busy. Okay, guys, this is my onion row. I'm sorry about that. That rooster did his thing right when I said that. But this is my onion row, and I've went down and I've weeded it. With all the rain that we've had, I've got some really good, pretty good sized bulbs, and I have some that have rotted in the ground that they didn't make it. I've got some that are still growing pretty good. Their stalks are still up. I'm gonna let them go for a little bit longer. I don't really know how much more growth they'll get on them. If if we get more rains, I may go ahead and pull them, because we've got an overabundance. Now, I know when I first started putting my onions out, a lot of people asked me, family and others, if I wasn't putting out too many onions. Well, we use a lot of onions here on Cedar Creek at my house, and at Granny and Grandpa's house. They use a lot of onions as well. And that's why, in my opinion, you plant more than what you might actually use. Now, some of these will be for fresh eating. I'll chop some of these up and put them in the freezer to use like, for whatever I want to use them for. I'll slice some and use them in when I'm making fajitas and stuff this winter and different things like that. Put some on the dehydrator to make onion, chopped onions and onion powder. And so you can see that I can use a lot of onions. And so we're not going to get the greatest harvest. We'll get enough for fresh eating and some things, but I have access to other onions that I'll be able to process. In fact, I've got some in the house. I've probably got, I don't know, 10 or 15 pounds right now that I need to get processed, and so I think that I will put them in the crock pot and let them caramelize, and then dehydrate them for some delicious onions that I can use in my cooking. This is a close-up of the onions, and you can see that the tops are laying over, so I'm going to be pulling these. I was hoping, but those are pretty good size onions. I was hoping for bigger, but I will take that. But most, I have some that rotted in the ground with all of the rain, and some of these I'm going to leave a little bit longer, like that one. It's standing, and down through there I have others that are standing. But I do have some that, especially my red onions, a lot of them, some of them rotted, and others of them are still little. So I think I'm just going to pull those and use those on the table, just as a table onion. And those will be delicious. I've got some corn that I bought, some ears of corn, and I think I'll fix a pan of fried potatoes and onions and have some corn and maybe sauerkraut and weenies, and maybe even a pan of cornbread and these onions, and that'll be delicious. Okay, you can see these. The tops are gone on those, so they need to be pulled out. And I have some that are just a little bit mushy. They just rotted. And with all this rain, it is what it is. But that is why I grew a bunch of onions. It's because you never know, what your crop is going to end up being. And there's a stray bean right there. All of over here on this pathway are stray beans that fell off of that trellis that Howie grew beans on last year, and we were saving for seed, and with sickness and everything, we weren't able to get out here, and these are the ones that fell off, and they planted themselves. So I'm gonna see if I can't get the ones that are remotely close together. These are a pole bean, and I may see if I can run a cattle panel down through here, and all the ones that are growing together, maybe they'll grow up this trellis, and we'll have fun getting these beans. Okay, back over here to the tomatoes. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, to the onions, I'm bad about chasing squirrels, but I'm getting into the red onions now, and you can see that down through here, their tops are kind of laid over. Some of them aren't, and I'll keep those, but the ones at the tops are laid over. I'm just going to count that as a sign to take them up, and we'll plant again sometime. This is the cabbage, and I'll get you down there where you can really see it. I keep saying medicated, but you guys know what I mean. We've put stuff on here to take care of the pests, to slow them down with all of the rain that we've had, 3.5 weeks anyways, that we just could not get down in here in the garden. I showed you 1 week the cabbages looked beautiful, and the next week a bunch of them were just ate up by pests. Some of them still have a little head in them, so it might be that they'll regroup and get the head, and that we might have small heads of cabbage. But some of them I think are probably just too far gone. But we did get some pest control on here, and we'll see what we can get, and I'll show you a close-up of them. Keep in mind that the very last one is really ate up, and I think it's a total loss. You guys will laugh when you see it. Here is my sad little cabbage. This is the worst one. You can see it looks like more like lace than it does a cabbage, but it does have a little head down in the middle, but I really don't think there's much hope for this cabbage. But it's here, and maybe it'll deter the bugs to come over to this one and leave the other ones alone. The one next to it doesn't look real good, but it doesn't look as bad. And then you can see just going up through here, I've got different ones that are forming their heads. This one doesn't look too bad, and some of the other ones have got a lot of bug on the outer leaves, but they do have little heads. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see what we get. If these cabbages don't get any bigger than enough to have a skillet of fried cabbage, well then that's what we'll take. But you know, it is what it is, and there's no use crying over spilt milk. So we'll they just keep going down through there, and some of them are buggy. Most have at least a buggy spot. Some of them are really buggy, but we're going to rejoice in the cabbage that we get. This is our cucumber row, and I'll take you down through there and show it to you. I've got it weeded, and you'll see that there are some areas that the cucumber came up really well, the seeds, and there are other areas where it's not anything at all. It's been plenty of time now, so they aren't going to come up. I imagine with all the rain they probably rotted in the ground, or it could be that they got washed up and a chicken or a bird or something ate them. Anyway, I'm going to replant those. I probably don't have time today. I can show you the spaces where they're going to go, and I may have to wait till I get home from the funeral because it's at 1. So I may have to wait till I get home from the funeral or do it tomorrow. Our whole workforce will be here tomorrow. It won't just be me and Granny and Papa Tex, but Blade will be here, and Cheyenne will get off work around noon. But we're trying to be careful with what we let her do. She gets a little bit frustrated at us, but we want to take care of her. And you know, this Meemaw to be is excited to I'm more excited to see the grandbaby than I am to get her out here, get her working in the garden and get her hot and overworked. So anyway, I'll show you the cucumbers. Okay, so here's the cucumber row. I've went down through here and I've weeded, and in between the different cucumber seeds that did come up and are getting started, you'll see that there's, you know, enough for a cucumber or two. And what we'll do is come back in here and we'll plant them, and they're going to grow up this trellis. And it makes it so easy to pick your cucumbers when they grow up a trellis like this. And they do really well. I'm usually burn out of the cucumbers before they quit producing for the season. And I love cucumbers and onions and vinegar. And I may plant a few cucumbers later on for fall cucumbers, just to try it and see, so that we can have some into the fall. And I may grow them up there in one of my mineral tubs that I've got. So you can see there's some significant areas that the cucumbers didn't come up. And then you hit cucumbers again, and you go to a pretty good patch of them, and then just all the way down through there. That's the way it is. They just, you know, hit and miss. And so we'll replant. And we have a long growing season here in Oklahoma with these cucumbers, and we got a good water source, and we'll make it work. With the Lord's help, we will see all this down through here. None of this came up. Here's all of our tomatoes, and I've got 3 rows, 3 good rows of tomatoes, and I have cages on the first and second row. And part of the third row, I still have to get some more cages pulled out, but I'm just running out of time today. I'm going to go down through here. I've been going down through and pruning them, the lower leaves, and you can see that there's starting to be a few little issues with some of the tomatoes with all the rain that we've had. So we got to get that taken care of. But we haven't lost a tomato plant one. So I'm looking forward to a good harvest. I know that things can happen, but we're expecting a good harvest. So, pardon my chicken. So anyway, I'll take you down through here, and I wanted to kind of show you these tomato cages and talk to you a little bit about them. And I have several different varieties. The variety I'm standing at right now is the Beefmasters. I've never grown Beefmasters, but when I got my plants this year, and I did buy plants this year, I did not grow them from seed. The onions, I forgot that somebody had asked me if I would please tell you if I grew from seed or I grew from, or if I purchased the plants. I did purchase the onions, and I purchased the tomatoes and the peppers. Now I have other peppers that I've grown from seed, and when I set those out, I'll show them to you. But these particular peppers that I'll show you today, they were purchased. The cucumbers, the turnips, the beets, the corn, all of that we planted ourselves. I do have some beans that have come up volunteer. How I grew last year, and so I'm gonna let them grow and just kind of enjoy those. And I guess we can say nature took care of that. So anyway, let's go on. I'll bring you in close and show you these tomato cages. Okay guys, this is the tomato row up close, and one of the tomato rows, and I need to go down through here and take some of the bottom leaves off where the rains have splashed up on them. And I want to get ahead of this before disease really gets started in my tomatoes, because the tops are looking really good right now. And that's one of our main things that we look forward to is tomatoes. This is a row of Beefmasters. I've never grown Beefmaster, but I'm going to really baby them and see if we get a good crop of these. And we've got celebrities, and we've got I think they're Jet Set instead of Jet Star. We did have some Rutgers, but I'll just be honest, they didn't do very good. That's Howie's favorite. and they just didn't do well. So, and we ended up, I don't know how we did it, but we bought 2 packages of cherry tomatoes. I will have cherry tomatoes coming out my ears, but I have heard that they are really good dehydrated. So I may try to dehydrate some and see what we come up with. Now, before I go on, I wanted to talk about these tomato cages. Now, how we made these cages, there's a few cages that are store-bought, but the majority of these cages are made out of that wire, and it's really stiff. It does get rusty. They do get out of shape, and a lot of people don't like them because they are not, you know, your garden, when these are standing up, I have to admit, they're not the prettiest thing in the world, but I am out for what's going to protect my plants and help them to grow upright and keep them contained so that it's easy for us to get to the fruit. I'm not so worried about my garden looking like I stepped out of a magazine, because it's just not going to happen. Now, with the prices of metal, the prices of other things this year, it's just not feasible for me to do away with these homemade tomato cages and go on to something else. I'm just going to grow them this way. It's worked for years and years and years and years, and I'm going to continue to do that. And at the end of the season, I don't think that I'll be sorry that I grew my tomatoes in these wire cages. And I just want you guys to realize, I want you guys to be encouraged that you may not have all of the top of the line stuff when it comes to gardening. You may not have the best equipment. You may not have, you know, all of the latest doodahs, but you can grow. If you try it, you can grow, and you can be successful. You can, you know, grow in buckets and grow in, like my mineral tubs, and grow, you know, in your flower beds. Use this wire for your cages. Do what you have to do to get in a crop, and don't worry about it looking like it came out of a magazine. Those are beautiful gardens. I love them. But, you know, if we wait around until we have the money to afford top of the line, then you may not ever get it in. And the important thing is that you're able to feed your family. So don't sweat having to use this kind of stuff. Yeah, they're a little rusty and dirty, and they're pokey sometimes, but they grow good tomatoes. These are hills of squash, yellow crookneck squash, and that is a lot of squash. There's 3 that came up on that hill, and there is 3 that came up on that hill. 4 came up on this hill, and it looks like 2 came up on that hill. That is a lot of squash. I'll tell you, you know what'll happen. I have squash running out of my ears, and of course, 2 households are going to use this squash, and then I'll take squash to church. And I always tease that your neighbors will start locking their door when they see you coming with the squash, because they've had their fill. Here's one of our little peppers, and it's already got some little blooms on it. And this is a sweet pepper. This is probably a bell, and it's going good. Here's the corn. Here's what it's looking like. And the kernels are up. There's a few that's been munched on, but they're looking good. And they might have to come in and thin some of it out. And down these middle, I was thinking about coming down and putting extra, you know, like 2 more rows of corn down through here. But what I'm really thinking about doing is making mounds and putting pumpkins, watermelons, and cantaloupes. And I may do that, and it'll give them plenty of room over here to grow after the corn comes out. And I think I'm on my 3rd week of corn, and so this is an 85-day variety. So I think this will be ready to come out of here and have plenty of time for the watermelons and the cantaloupes and the pumpkins to have plenty of space to vine out and do their thing. all along this fence, I have planted, and Sadie just walked by one, I have got my blackberries planted. I planted 12 blackberry vines down through there. Pardon those fence posts. They're going to go by the tomato rows. But all the way down through there to the very end is 12 blackberry vines planted. And they'll be able to grow up this fence. We had blackberries here once before, and we're going to try it again. And I think they look beautiful. Of course, I'm not going to have any berries this year. May not even have any berries next year. But when I do, they'll be good and delicious. And we'll have blackberry dumplings and blackberry cobbler and blackberry jelly. And Howie never did like blackberry jam because he didn't like to deal with the seeds. So I have always had to do blackberry jelly, and that's fine with me. All over the farm, hush guys, all over the farm, every time I talk to turkeys, I think Howie's talked about that before too. All over the farm, I have found different things that Howie had planted last year, and they've seeded themselves this year. And that makes my heart smile. Out in the garden, those beans I showed you. Now here in this marigold bed, I know you guys remember that some of these, like these that already have flowers on them, I bought those to plant in here as a memory of Howie because marigolds were his favorite. And they're doing good. There are some that needs to be deadheaded, and I'll get those. But these that are tall, like this one, and some of these over on this side, if you can see back here, and all these, those are all marigolds that have reseeded themselves from marigolds that Howie had in the previous year. And so it does my heart glad when I see these, because it's almost like, I know he's not because I know he's in heaven, but it's almost like he's saying hello to me. And I can look at these and I can remember, and I can enjoy, and they can make me smile. My tears aren't sad tears. My tears are happy tears. And I think that's one thing that gardening is all about, is enjoying what you're doing. And I enjoy gardening, and Howie enjoyed gardening so much. And so I love seeing these things that make me think happy thoughts. Here is the first of the 2 tire planters. This one has morning sunshine, and the plants are starting to take off, and they got soggy for a little while, but they're doing pretty good. Starting to grow, and they'll get bushy as the season progresses. And then I'll take you over and I'll show you the other bed. Here's the other bed. This bed has had some bad luck. Sadie has gotten up here and laid in here and dug in here, found something dead and buried it in here. The squirrels have gotten in here, and so this bed is not fared as well. But I've got more marigolds. I've got 3 in there that's doing real good. I've got one looks like has come up from last year. That's another Howie flower. And so I do have some more marigolds that are up and blooming that I can plant in here and fill this flower bed up so that we can get a nice and showy flower bed. This one is in the shade this time of the day, but in the afternoon it is in the sunshine and in the heat. But these are easy to water, and if I can keep, how I put a wire all the way around this one last year. It seems like this is the one that they bother. They don't bother that one over in the sunshine, and maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll get this replanted and it'll be pretty. Well, that's the garden tour for week 3 of the 2021 garden season and the first week of June. And so we'll call that one in the books. I've showed you what's doing well. I've showed you what is having some problems. And I apologize for not getting to the fruit orchard and showing you the things there, but I'm just running a little bit of short. I want to get this video out to you guys, and I have a little bit of time to get it edited and leave it uploading while I go to the funeral. And I hope you guys are having a good week. It's finally sun shining here. We do have rain starting tomorrow evening, Saturday evening, and then all day Sunday we have chances of thunderstorms. And I'm not really sure about next week yet. I haven't taken a look at it, but I do know those 2 days. So I'm gonna enjoy this sunny day. I hope you guys having a good day where you at. Some of you haven't had rain for a long time, and you told me that you're getting rain. So, oh bless you. I'm so glad that you're getting that. And those of you that don't have any rain yet, we're praying for you still. I know out west, and I have a little lady on here that gets tickled at me when I say that, out west, but that's what it is to me, the Great West. Anyway, those of you that are out west, I know that you're hurting for rain, and we're praying that you will get some too, and that we'll all have good garden seasons this year and do what we can to look well to the ways of our household. This is Josie with Cedar Creek Homestead. I love you guys. I appreciate everything that you do for me, every kind word and letter and thought that you have for me. And until next time, we're gone.